Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. Just getting out of work on a Saturday, which is awesome, and you're gonna hear the dinking because I'm about 3 minutes from home and I'm not wearing my seatbelt, so sue me. Anyway, in this video I really want to talk about white coat syndrome because I know this was and the last time that I went to a doctor's office was still a thing for me. So I really want to talk about why it happens and why you're essentially going into, in my case, like a full-blown panic attack when you're going into a doctor's office of any kind, because it was happening to me when I wasn't even going in a doctor's office. It would happen to me if I was going to a functional medicine office, just to kind of try to fix some other issues that weren't even related to my cardiophobia phase. It would happen if I went into an ENT office. It would happen if I went into any doctor's office, because it got to the point where the thought of anything that had anything to do with my heart and my heart rate and my blood pressure, a blood pressure cuff, a pulse ox, anything, just the thought would spike my anxiety, would spike my blood pressure, would spike my heart rate, to where I was going into, doctor's offices and cardiologist offices and having a blood pressure of like 150 over 110, and having, every time I went in there, I had to get an EKG done. My heart rate was 120 to 140 every time. I remember going in for a stress test at the cardiologist's office, and just stepping in there when they hooked me up to the stuff, my heart rate was already 140, and the female cardiologist was like, I can't even run the test on you because we have to get you to calm down a little bit, because your heart rate's already at one of the trigger points that we want to measure when you're exercising. So just to kind of give you an idea of what I was going through when this was all happening to me. So with that being said, what's really causing you to panic and go into fight or flight, and in some cases full-blown panic mode when you're going into these places, and why it's experiencing white coat syndrome? So essentially, for so long, you have just been wired to being incredibly negative, and in a lot of cases Googling and finding out different illnesses and different diseases and different conditions, and you've assumed all of those over the time that you've been going through your health, anxiety, cardiophobia phases, and you've thought that you have everything. So you got to the point where you were literally looking out for every bodily symptom, every bodily sensation. You were feeling everything that was going on in your body. You were super sensitized, and your nervous system is just super sensitized. So when you have that much negativity and fear surrounding it, you essentially start to fear the fear of things. And I know that's been mentioned before. I don't know who exactly coined that term. I think there was an author, I think, who talked about fear of fear. You kind of get to that point, and I was at that point. I think most people are, and then you're essentially now anticipating bad results. You're anticipating panic attacks. You're anticipating fight or flight, and you are now entering a trigger area for me and most people, and I mean virtually everybody that suffers from white coat syndrome, like the doctor's offices and things like that, or an incredibly sensitive area and a big time trigger for people going through that, because you now have the anticipatory anxiety that you're going to get high readouts and all this kind of stuff, and oh my god, the doctors are going to think something's wrong with me. Oh my god, what if something really is wrong with me? Oh my god, I believe something's wrong with me. So now every time you go in there, that is it's constantly playing in your mind and your subconscious. It's constantly being repeated and battered over and over and over again. So when you turn into the and let me know, comment down below. I would love to hear from more people. As soon as you turn into the doctor's office, I'm willing to bet most of you probably are already going into fight or flight, because I had that where I'm driving to a doctor's office, and as soon as I turn into the parking lot, I could already feel my heart rate picking up, and I could feel it kind of pounding in my chest before I even get out of the car. I'm already experiencing it. So I'm like, oh shit, here we go again, and I got to walk in here and deal with this again. but you just kind of still, you get to a point where you still kind of go through it. So yeah, so that is what's going on. It's you are so sensitized to everything that's going on, and the fear and the negativity and the anticipation of having bad numbers and getting told you have certain issues and conditions. When most of the time, virtually everybody that is coming on here and commenting, and either on my page or other people's pages, like virtually everyone is not going to have what they fear that they have. Like a very, very, very rare minority will like actually have something wrong, but like every one of us thinks that like we are that minority, and for the very vast majority of people that's not going to be the case. You're going to be told that you're fine, you're going to be told that you have anxiety, and then you're going to go home and you're going to feel relieved, and then the process is going to start all over again, because now it's a little too late just for those like that little reassurance to really break you out of it and to break you free from it. So it's going to be a longer process, but that's what's happening now. You get further and further stuck inside that loop and that cycle, wheel, whatever you want to call it, the hamster wheel, then it's just kind of on repeat, and it's going and it's going and it's going, and it's a very, very hard thing to break, because I still have that. Like I could feel it. Like I literally could feel my anxiety levels rising whenever I have to go into a doctor's office at any kind of professional building. Like it happens to me or any kind of triggering event. Like even if it's something like I would go for an interview. Like when I went for a job interview before, like I actually got the job, but I was like, my heart was pounding, but I was like literally pounding, and I was like having panic attack while I'm in there, and I'm just like playing it off. So like, how you go about beating that is just reversing what you've been telling yourself for however amount of time you've been doing it. Like it might take a little while, but start anticipating the positive. Start anticipating positive results. Start anticipating a lower normal blood pressure. Start anticipating a normal heart rate numbers. Start like envisioning you going in there, and because most people have already been told that they're fine. So start kind of hammering that home, just like you've been hammering home the negatives for months, and in some cases years, depending on how long you suffer from it. Start telling yourself that you're fine. I also like I do some meditations and things like that, and I listen to a guy, Joseph, I think his name is Joseph Murphy, passed away. He was like a preacher or a priest or something like that, but something in the Christian faith. So like I'm a religious person. And he was telling a story about one of his friends that suffered from anxiety and depression and something like that. And every time he would get a negative thought, he would say that my soul is filled with divine love or something like that, or divine love fills my soul or something like that. But just like, just positive things to kind of reinforce other beliefs in the area. So if you're somebody that's spiritual, that's something that you can look into. That you're more than just a physical body, and you're more than just the anxiety, and you're more than just the symptoms, and you're more than just human life, which is very hard sometimes to wrap your mind around, because it's just what you know. So that's an area to look into if you're somebody who does have faith and does have some religion, to look into that. That man, Joseph Murphy, I believe was his name, so you can type in Joseph Murphy meditation, anything like that, and that might be able to help you a little bit. But start to just tell yourself that you're healthy. You've been told you're healthy. You've been telling yourself that something's bad is going to happen to you for months and years, and nothing bad has happened to you. And I still, if I get a sensation or something like that, like I thought I was dying thousands and thousands of times before. Every time I would feel something, or every time I would like feel my heart beat or have a skip beat, which was happening hundreds of times a day. I thought I was dying like every time. So just imagine that, like it's hundreds of times a day that you're thinking like, oh my God, this is it. And I've never died. Like obviously I'm still here. So most of you are in that same boat. You're telling yourself this, you're expecting these things, and it's constantly being reinforced subconsciously. So it's just, it takes practice and it takes time, the same way that you went your whole entire life without ever feeling your heart rate, without ever knowing that you had a heart, basically, and you just take that for granted. But you're not thinking all this excess negativity. You're not paying attention to your body. You're not scanning your body and doing all that kind of extra, in a sense, nonsense, waiting for the worst stuff to happen, as if you could ever do anything anyway to kind of prevent that. You can only do things to take as good a care of yourself, your body, your health, your mind. You could do things like that, but you know, I mean, realistically, and I had to kind of come to terms with the fact that even if something terrible and drastic and like dramatic was going to happen, it's really like not something you could really do in that case. So just work on the things that you could work on, better your life in the areas where you have the control over, and getting that sense of control will help you with anxiety and depression, all that kind of stuff. So what I talk about in all my other videos, so check them out, is the diet, the sleep, the exercise, the relationships, the traumas, you know, the breathing techniques, the lifestyle choices and habits that you do. Like all that stuff plays a huge role in your mental health. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about. There's plenty of other people out there who attest to this, and they talk about like the increase anxiety and depression and autism rates and all these kind of things. Like there's studies out there that link like mental health and all that kind of stuff to diet. And I mean, mental health and exercise is just already well known. So, you know, anybody that tells you differently, or if you're somebody who doesn't believe that, like, you know, you're going in the wrong direction with that. And you can't really dispute it after like what I've seen and like what I've read in the research studies and things like that. So get those areas under better control, start to work on those areas, and I can pretty much promise you that you'll start to feel a bit better. You'll feel a little bit more control, you'll feel a little bit more self-confidence, and then you start with, you know, now you start to gain that momentum and move forward, put one foot in front of the other. So, I mean, that's all I really want to say. This one I'm definitely keeping short. So, you know, comment down below, let me know like where you are in that process. Let me know if you have the Whitecoat syndrome. Let me know what your thought process is when you're going in there. Let me know if you're going into fight or flight before you actually even get out of the car, like I was, like what was happening to me before. And then just check out the other videos. Like I have a lot of information, a lot of content that I feel is very valuable to somebody that's going through that right now. It's a very rough situation to be in. But another phrase that I heard someone say that really stuck with me and still sticks with me now is that, you know, you've been told that you have anxiety multiple times from doctors. The symptoms and the sensations that you feel are incredibly uncomfortable, but they're not dangerous to you. They're incredibly uncomfortable, but they're not dangerous. So, you know, take that as a positive. Take a deep breath, couple deep breaths, and just keep working and keep applying the advice that I give and other people have given who have been through the same thing and come out on the other end, and they don't have lifelong debilitating anxiety. And you can and will get there too if you just listen to what people have done before you to get through it. All right, so thank you very much for making it to the end of the video. I'm trying to keep them as short as I possibly can. So be on the lookout for more content in the near future. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.